Hello everyone, and welcome to this entrepreneur interview. Today we are pleased to speak with Binghan Yi, co-founder and CFO of Wiz. Wiz is an all-in-one compliance platform powered by AI. Based in Singapore, it supports banks, payment firms, fintech companies, and digital assets businesses by connecting KYC, KYB, AML, transaction monitoring, and case management into one smart system. In this interview, we will explore how Binghan identified the opportunity in RegTech, how he managed early-stage risks such as cash flow and long sales cycles, and what advice he would give to students who want to start their own business. Through his experience, we hope to better understand how entrepreneurs discover opportunities, solve real industry problems, and build long-term value. Hello, today very honored to invite you to take part in the interview. Can you shortly introduce yourself and your business first?
Hi, Inian. Sure. My name is Binghan Yi. Previously, I worked as an actuary, and I'm a qualified actuary now as well. I worked mainly in the fields of insurance, consulting firms, banks as well. So now, as the co-founder of With, I mainly hold the role of CFO. Just briefly introduction to the company With, right? With is all-in-one compliance platform powered by AI, developed in Singapore. So it mainly served, banks, insurance companies, property developer, as well as increasing number of crypto and digital assets enterprises who requires regulatory services. So, in simple terms, what we do is RegTech, which is also called regulatory technology. So our goal is to provide an all-in-one platform for the compliance team in the enterprises. We have all suite of services, including KYC, KYB, screening, AML, transaction monitoring. That's off-chain, including on-chain is KYT, know your transaction, and travel rule. What we did is to help client to meet regulatory requirements and make it compliant with the regulatory requirements for different countries and in different industries as well.
Thank you for sharing, sir. How did your past professional experiences affect you entering the RegTech industry?
Okay, my past experience, have had a significant impact on my entry into the RegTech industry. I studied in actuarial science and later obtained qualifications related to, actuarial science and enterprise risk management. I'm a qualified actuary, FSA, and CIRA. So the greatest influence of the actuarial science training was that it made me view problems using data, probabilities, and the long-term risks and the capital costs. The insurance industry and the banking industry, they do not only focus on short-term profits, it highly values long-term responsibilities, risk assessment, and regulatory compliance. So later, my work experience in consulting firm also let me understand problems from perspective of clients. So many times enterprises asked for software, a report, or even a system, but the real pain points behind this might be high cost, low processes, difficult risk control, or heavy regulatory pressure. So the consulting experience has made me, to consider more about what the client's real problems are and whether our proposed solutions can solve their key issues. So after that, I also worked in, financial enterprises, insurance and reinsurance companies, which enabled me to have a deeper understanding of the internal process of large financial institutions. Financial institutions, emphasize security, stabilities, and compliance because once something goes wrong, not only will there be economic losses, it may also affect licenses, reputation of the company, as well as the trust from the customers. So when I later saw the RegTech direction, I thought it had very much long-term value because regulatory is not a short-term trend issue, but a long-standing problems in the financial industry, as well as the non-financial industry as well. So how to manage risks more effectively and efficiently using more advanced technologies in a situation where the regulators are becoming increasingly strict.
At first, how did you find the opportunity of the all-in-one compliance platform powered by AI?
The discovery of this opportunity was because of the significant increase in compliance pressure in the regulated industries that we observed. Singapore itself, is a financial center with banks, insurance companies, payment companies, wealth management, and digital asset enterprises, all being highly developed in this country. So the requirements of regulatory authorities for these industries are becoming clearer and stricter. Especially in the crypto industry, it might have been more like a new technology industry in the early days, but now it is moving closer to traditional financial regulations. KYC, QIB, customer identity verification, transaction monitoring, all these are becoming necessary requirements for the Web3, so-called crypto industries. However, we found that many enterprises' approach to compliance management is in pieces. For example, a bank might use one system for customer identity verifications, another system for AML screening, and an internal Excel or manual process for case management. So this leads to several problems like inconsistent data, high cost of human labor, and low review speed. So if the regulatory authorities require tracing a certain customer or a certain judgment process, it is quite difficult for the enterprise to quickly provide complete records. So the opportunity we see is that the market needs a more comprehensive platform rather than just a single point tool. So the appearance of AI has further strengthened this opportunity. Many traditional compliance systems are rule-driven, such as conducting a manual review if the risk score exceeds a certain threshold. But AI can help the system better understand the complex data and improve review efficiency. So we believe that, in future, compliance platform will, definitely not a simple database check, but an AI native workflow built for a comprehensive system.
From your earlier answer, we can say that more financial companies now need stronger compliance systems because regulations are becoming stricter, especially in fintech and crypto industries. Based on this situation, why do you think the RegTech industry in Singapore still has a good future and many opportunities for growth?
Well, I think RegTech in Singapore is still a blue ocean. The first reason is, the increasing regulation of the financial industry mentioned in the previous questions. And the need for compliance will continue as long as, banking, insurance, payments, and the crypto industries that involve customer funds, identity information, transaction security, and the risk of the financial crime exist. So secondly, there are indeed many competitors in the market. For example, some international companies already have thousands of customers. However, most small companies have a relatively small number of customers, and the cost of purchasing, the background database is too high in the early stage when the volume is low, as well as the technical problems too high. So most of them solve only parts of the problems, but what customers really need is a system that can connect the whole process. For banks or financial institutions, they do not want to manage too many suppliers because it will increase technology integration issues and operational risk. So this is an opportunity for WIS.
Earlier, you mentioned that you had a good and stable career opportunities in actuarial science, consulting, and the insurance industry. However, instead of continuing on those traditional career paths, you choose to start your own business and enter the regulated industry. Could you share more about why you made this decision? What attracted you to entrepreneurship, and why you believe RegTech was the right direction for your long-term career and future development?
So in fact, insurance, consulting, or actual science, banking are all excellent career paths and relatively stable. The career development of an actuary is quite clear, and consulting firms offer the opportunity to interact with various industries and clients. However, at that time, I placed more emphasis on long-term growth and the opportunities brought about by industry changes. Working in a traditional financial institution allowed me to receive deep professional knowledge, but the role can sometimes be quite fixed. You know, you are responsible for a certain department, a certain product, or a certain market. However, starting a business is different. It forces you to view problems from a wider perspective. Product, technology, customer, financing, team, cost, brand, law, and market all need to be considered. Although this process is highly stressful, but I think the learning speed is extremely fast. So in July 2025, my friend Mr. Du invited me to the RegTech industry, which was a very important driving force. At that time, we were not discussing short-term profit opportunities, but a long-term direction. Which industry will still have, demand in the next 10, 20 years? Which industry will not be easily affected by short-term economic cycles? Um, Eventually, we believed that RegTech was a very suitable direction because regulation, risk, and compliance will not disappear. Instead, they will become more and more important with the development of fintech or crypto. So I choose to start a business not because traditional career lack development opportunities, but because I saw a window of opportunities in this industry. RegTech is currently in the process of upgrading from traditional tools to AI platform, same as other industries. So if one enters at this time and can integrate customers, technologies, and capital, I believe there is a chance to establish a company with long-term value.
After deciding to enter the research industry and start your own business, what were your most important resources in the early stages?
I think there are 4 important resources in the early stage of entrepreneurship. So the first is industry understanding, which is also a kind of knowledge. RegTech is not an industry that can be, successfully operated mainly by technology. One must, understand the compliance process of financial institutions, regulatory language, customer risk, and the data security requirements. If one doesn't understand this, even if one creates a beautiful software interface, it is actually difficult to be accepted by banks or other financial institutions. So the second is the customer base. We got the original customer base through acquisition of a local Singaporean company called Synopsys Solutions, which has already have around 500 customers. So this is extremely important because many startup companies have the biggest problem of starting from 0 to 1. The solution to problems enable us to continue to upgrade the product in the existing customer scenarios. So we have the 0 to 1 built up already. The third one is technology and team. So Synopsys Solutions and its team have experience in the original KYC, AML, and the compliance software, and SaaS. At the same time, we combine our AI, blockchain, and digital asset infrastructures to achieve system upgrades, especially by using AI capabilities to enhance the completeness and the competitiveness of the product. So the fourth one, I believe, is the financial support. The startup costs of this industry are very high, including purchasing database, cloud services, product development, compliance testing, sales team, and customer services. Without enough funds, it is difficult to support the product upgrade and market expansion.
Even with these resources and industry experience, starting a business still involves significant uncertainty and challenges. What was the biggest risk you faced when you started the business, and how did you manage it?
So, the biggest risk, I think, for the startup is the cash flow. So firstly, RegTech is an industry that, seems promising, but, requires a significant upfront investment. The upfront costs mentioned earlier, will put a lot of pressure on the financial chain before revenue starts to grow rapidly. There's a risk of financial collapse. The second is the long customers purchasing cycle. Banks, insurance companies, and large financial institutions need to take security assessments, compliance evaluations, technology tests, and the internal approvals before they can determine whether a product is worth purchasing. So even if the customer is interested, it doesn't mean the revenue will come in immediately. The methods we use to manage these risks mainly include 3 points. First is control costs. So especially database and cloud costs, we need to be clear about which cost is necessary, which can be reduced through technology upgrades. Secondly, enhance skill efficiency. So for example, serving 500 customers compared with serving 1,500 customers, the cost in some system may not be much different. If the number of customers increase, the average cost per customer will reduce, and the profit effect will be more obvious. Thirdly, prioritize serving high-value customers. We should select the customers who can best verify the product's value and bring long-term revenue to the company. So the key to achieve break-even is to make the customer growth rate exceed the growth rate of a fixed cost. Once the platform is established in this industry, the scale effect will become increasingly obvious.
During the growth of West, were there any key turning points or important decisions that influenced the company's direction?
Yeah, there are definitely a few key turning points. The first one was the decision to enter the RegTech field as a long-term direction. We had considered many possible investments and directions at that time, but finally believed that regulatory technology was a more stable and a long-term choice. This decision enabled us to avoid focusing on long-term hotspots from the very beginning and instead enter an industry with sustained demand. So the second turning point was the acquisition of the local Singaporean company Synopsys Solutions, which gave us the original customer base and the technical foundation. This point was extremely important because it allowed us to have real customers, real revenue, and real products rather than remaining only at the stage of business planning. So the third turning point was the planned new products and brand upgrade in December 2025. So the original products could be able to serve customers, but to face future competition, especially large international competitors like Samsung, we need to be upgraded. So we need to incorporate an AI component to make the products more complete, more automated, and more differentiated from other competitors. We needed to represent to the market that we are not traditional KYC tools, but an all-in-one compliance platform powered by AI. The fourth turning point was the expansion plan. After April 2026, the company hired more capable CTO, marketing director, and the sales team, hoping to establish a new company structure, inherit and upgrade the capabilities of WITH, and further enhance competitiveness through mergers and acquisitions of small similar companies in near future, which can also help us to expand the customer base and adding more values to the company.
In your opinion, what are the most important entrepreneurship or personal characteristics for successfully starting up a business?
I believe there are few, but I will just highlight two or three important traits. One is due diligence. You have to work hard. To start up a company is always very specific and very demanding, involving meetings with clients, reviewing contracts, recruiting staff, raising funds, handling product issues, and constantly adapting to the industry changes. Without, a lot of efforts, it's very difficult to persist. So, for example, even when Elon Musk became the richest person, he still slept for only 6 hours or I think less a day. So, diligence is a major reason for his success. The second one is the flexibilities. The paths of startup companies often change. So you think the customer need A, but later it turned out that the ones who are willing to pay are B. So you think a certain market is better, but later you discover that another market is more suitable. Although the general direction cannot be changed easily, but entrepreneurs cannot be too focused on small details. They must be able to quickly adjust their directions. Product rules can be changed. Recruitment schedule can be changed. Sales strategies can also vary as well. So as the company grows from small to large, the entrepreneur's own role also changes. In the early stage, he might be doing all these things oneself. Later, they need to learn to recruit, delegate authority, and establish systems. This is also an important way to prove the qualifications to investors. Investors not only look at what you have now, but also at your capability to continuously grow in the face of changes.
If you were to give one piece of advice to a student who wants to start a business, what would you most like to say?
My most important advice to students is don't start by saying I have an idea, but start by understanding the pain points of an industry. Many students start their entrepreneurship journey by thinking about the product, such as I want to create an app, a platform, or an AI tool. However, what truly matters is whether the problem you have solving actually exists. Will customer be willing to pay for it? Is the problem long term? Why haven't competitors solved it well so far? If these questions are unclear, even the most beautiful product is unlikely to succeed. So entrepreneurship is not a sprint. It doesn't happen with a single inspiration. So what truly matters is continuous learning, continuous execution, and continuous adjustment as well. So if you can find a long-term valuable industry and are willing to invest in it for the longer term, you will have a better chance of success than just chasing trends.
Thanks for your sharing. Your experiences and suggestions can help us understand entrepreneurship deeply and how to find the chances, manage risks, and growth continually.
No problem. You are most welcome.
Thank you. That's all of
Thank you.
the content of the interview.
Sure. Thank you also for your time. So if you have any further questions, just can contact me anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.